Chapter 1. On my wedding day, my fiancée showed me no respect. She publicly presented 9 house rules, putting me in an impossible position. Under the watchful eyes of all the guests, I could only swallow my anger. Who would have thought that adhering to those rules would lead to my calculated death? And on the 3rd day of the wake after I died, my wife, holding my large insurance payout and vast fortune, couldn't wait to remarry. Only later did I learn that she had always loved someone else. Those 9 house rules were nothing but a scheme to seize my wealth. In a flash, I was back at the wedding, facing the same 9 rules meant to emotionally blackmail me. But this time, I just sneered, then turned to marry the bridesmaid instead. Chapter 1. If you want to marry my sister, you have to follow the 9 house rules of our Shaw family. Not following them means you're disrespecting my sister. The voice of my little brother-in-law, Hong Shaw, echoed in my ears. Coming to my senses, I realized I had escaped the hell of excruciating pain from broken bones all over my body. I was shocked to find I had returned to this very day. In my last life, my wife's 9 house rules made me a laughingstock for everyone. I was emotionally blackmailed, becoming the big sucker in their joint scheme. She used our marriage license as leverage, holding it over my head. It wasn't until the wedding ceremony that I was completely ensnared by her 9 rules. One of them was the wife can share all family assets with the husband and has the right to make decisions on his behalf. Shortly after the wedding, I was hospitalized for a minor stomach ailment. My entire fortune was deceitfully transferred by my wife. She even secretly moved the company's finances into her account in my name. To abide by these rules, I was mocked by numerous business partners, and my company's reputation plummeted again and again. It wasn't until our liquid assets were completely drained by her and my brother-in-law that I realized I had walked into a trap. She frantically took out loans in my name to buy assets for her brother. Because of this, I was saddled with a debt of $100 billion. Crushed by the immense pressure, I eventually jumped to my death from a building. After I died, I didn't even get a tombstone. Under the gaze of friends and family, my wife put on a show holding a wake for me for 3 days, only to spit on my urn with contempt, and my brother-in-law, Hong Shaw, went as far as scattering my ashes for fun. Chapter 2. Oh, Sincere will definitely be willing to follow these rules. Before I could even react, my fiancée was already smoothing things over for me. Scarlett Shaw said with a smile, "After all, he's been chasing me for 5 years. What condition hasn't he agreed to? He's been so caring every single day. My heart isn't made of stone." My brother-in-law sneered, "I'm not so sure about that." With that, Hong Shaw looked at me provocatively. Returning to this day, I finally understood. Scarlett wasn't giving me an easy way out. Those two were clearly playing good cop, bad cop. Forcing me into a corner, silence fell, and I was once again surrounded by looks of contempt and disdain. Just like in my previous life, I was humiliated, trapped in a mire with no escape. Suddenly, the bridesmaid, Victoria Gardner, carefully objected. "Lily, no matter what, this is going too far. Aren't these 9 rules a bit too unfair to Mr. Clark?" My gaze shifted to Victoria Gardner, and I froze for a moment. In that grand wedding hall, no one had dared to say a word against those grossly unfair rules. Only Victoria had courageously voiced her dissent, only to be angrily reprimanded by my ignorant self. Afterward, because of that one statement, she was brutally assaulted by Hong Shaw, had her hair pulled and face slapped by Scarlett Shaw, and was cyberbullied after they posted about it online. I knew nothing about it. To this day, I can still remember her desperate cries for help from the room next door. Chapter 2. I was held up outside the door by Scarlett, completely unaware that a girl was suffering such humiliation at my wedding. This led to her being slandered online by Scarlett as a homewrecker and a bitch, until she leaped from the rooftop of a 20-story building, ending her life in the prime of her youth. No one ever knew that the reason I insisted on marrying Scarlett was to repay the girl who had secretly funded my university education. After my family fell from grace, after Victoria died, I was shocked to realize that she was the one who had helped me, the secret crush I had longed for all those years. Unfortunately, her place had been usurped by Scarlett, who had deceived me for so long. Chapter 3. Hearing Victoria's words, the brother and sister exchanged a look. The disgusting meaning in their eyes was unmistakable. I clenched my fists, my heart raging with fire and hatred. This life, I would never let her or myself pay such a tragic price again. Seeing Hong secretly signal to Scarlett with his eyes, the tragedy of my past life was about to repeat itself. I immediately interrupted. Lily is right. I will definitely follow these 9 house rules. I've chased Lily for so many years. Everyone has witnessed my feelings for her. Hearing this, the tension in the room eased. I secretly curled my lips into a smirk. Since my feelings for her are sincere and unwavering. Then if the wedding is cancelled, it must naturally be her fault. And it has to be a massive scandal. Today, I will ruin the reputation of the Shaw siblings. Looking at Scarlett's smug face, I sneered. You like to scheme, don't you? This life I'll give you a taste of your own medicine. Many of the wedding guests exchanged glances, their eyes filled with contempt and disdain. Anyone who had read the 9 rules knew that if I really married Scarlett Shaw, I was basically signing up to be her family's grandson. But what they didn't know was what kind of drama was about to unfold today. As I provided them with an out, the siblings' plan succeeded and their expressions brightened considerably. Victoria had been spared. At this wedding, I would completely expose Scarlett Shaw's true colors. As for my little brother-in-law, Hong Shaw, I had no intention of letting him off the hook either. Chapter 4. With me smoothing things over, the atmosphere immediately became harmonious. Many of my close friends pulled at my sleeve privately to persuade me, "Are you crazy? Haven't you had enough of being her lapdog? Now you want to be her grandson, don't you know? Scarlett Shaw is a notorious brother-obsessed maniac." I smiled and reassured them. How could I not know? After the humiliation of my past life, I knew it all too well. In my previous life, my finances were completely controlled by Scarlett Shaw. She bought her brother a house and a car behind my back, and I was even the one who paid his settlement money after he got into trouble. Whenever I brought it up, Scarlett would be dismissive. "He's your brother too. What's wrong with buying him a few things? Why are you being so stingy as a brother-in-law?" But Hong Shaw was a magnet for trouble. After Scarlett married me, he had a backer and became increasingly lawless, causing bigger and bigger problems. My vast family fortune was all spent on Hong Shaw alone. I, a CEO, couldn't even afford to pay for meals when I went out for business dinners. It was utterly humiliating, but I couldn't break my promise. The siblings' intentions were truly malicious. A video of me agreeing to the 9 house rules on the wedding day was maliciously recorded and played on a loop online for 3 days. It was framed as proof of my love for my wife, Scarlett Shaw. In reality, it became the leverage the siblings used to control me later on. If I didn't follow the house rules, I would be constantly criticized and insulted by netizens. My company's sales would plummet due to a perceived lack of integrity, and its reputation would be severely damaged. Chapter 5. Looking at the disappointed faces of my friends and family, I smiled and shook my head. In this life, I did agree to the 9 house rules, and they did record it to post online as proof. But what if the wedding never successfully takes place, and I happen to occupy the moral high ground? A vicious smile crept onto my face. Who wins and who loses in this battle is not yet decided. This life, I will make you siblings lose everything and be despised by all. As the wedding officiant took the stage, I smirked. It's time. Just as the thought crossed my mind, a pregnant girl rushed onto the stage. She had suddenly appeared from behind a screen. No one had time to react. By the time they did, the girl had already snatched the microphone from the officiant. The host looked at me, flustered and confused, asking for a signal. I remained indifferent, calmly watching her begin to tell her tragic story. The faces of Scarlett and Hong instantly turned deathly pale. How did she get here? Hong immediately rushed over, grabbing my collar, his face contorted with rage. "Get this bitch off the stage now." Scarlett's expression was also very ugly, sincere. "Are you just going to stand there and watch a stranger make a scene at our wedding? This girl seems so sincere." "I'm afraid something really is wrong," I said, feigning a difficult position. Watching their ugly expressions, I scoffed internally. Of course I was going to watch. After all, I was the one who found this girl. Hong Shaw's ex-girlfriend, a poor soul he had swindled for her money and body. First, a little appetizer for the guests. There's a bigger surprise waiting in the wings. Chapter 6. Damn it, watching the girl recount Hong Shaw's disgusting and wicked past, one detail at a time. Hong cursed but was helpless. I smirked with satisfaction. He hadn't forgotten that to control me with the 9 house rules they had arranged for the wedding to be live-streamed to the whole internet. This meant that his so-called dirty laundry was being completely exposed to the public. For the moment, he couldn't do anything. I opened my phone. And sure enough, many netizens were furious. Damn, how can a scumbag like this exist? He scammed her out of her money and body and then had a gang of thugs rape her. How can someone be so lawless? Isn't this just an animal? Is this the so-called prestigious Shaw family? The girl's story was heartfelt and tragic. The crowd's emotions were instantly stirred, as the guests' expressions toward the Shaw siblings grew darker. Scarlett, her face livid, shouted, "Get her off the stage now, this bitch is just slandering my brother," but I didn't even expect that before she could finish her excuses for Hong, the idiot would bring about his own destruction. The hot-tempered man grabbed a wine bottle and violently threw it at the thin, pregnant girl. This immediately sparked outrage. Damn it, this animal, he's trying to destroy the evidence, he's hit a nerve. It looks like what the girl said is all true. I couldn't react in time, only able to stare blankly as the shattering bottle flew toward the girl. With that force, if it hit, it would undoubtedly cause serious injury or death crap. I miscalculated. I didn't expect this idiot to lash out so desperately in public. My eyes widened in horror, while Hong wore a triumphant, malicious smirk, as if he could already see the girl with her head bloodied. In a flash, Victoria Gardner tackled the girl to the ground, saving her from the attack. I breathed a sigh of relief. Indeed, no matter what, Victoria was always that kind girl. At that moment, the sound of police sirens wailed from outside. Someone had called the police. Chapter 4, Chapter 7. Scarlett finally lost control of her expression. The sudden turn of events had completely disrupted all her plans. I watched Hong's face turn pale as he was about to flee. I immediately stuck out my foot and tripped him hard, sending him sprawling. He smashed his teeth and his face was covered in blood. Scarlett, furious at his incompetence, slapped Hong across the face. "You idiot, why haven't you apologized to the young lady yet?" Then she turned back, forcing a smile. "I'm so sorry, my brother just has a short temper." His hand slipped. Wow, does this woman take us for fools? Her expression changes faster than you can flip a page. Everyone present was an elite business person or a wealthy socialite. They had all seen Hong's gloating face clearly just a moment ago. Someone even advised Mr. Clark, "Don't go through with this wedding. I have a feeling this family is up to no good." My heart leaped with joy, but I kept a troubled look on my face. As the police arrived and took Hong away, Scarlett immediately pleaded with me, "Sincere, you know he's my only brother. If he goes to prison, how can I, his sister, possibly go on?" But it was obvious to anyone with eyes that Hong had just attempted murder. If that bottle had hit, it would have been 2 lives lost. I looked at her pitiful yet calculating and sinister gaze. My memory drifted back to my past life. Back then, I was controlled by public opinion. When the last of my family's fortune was squandered by Hong, I finally cast aside the last shred of my dignity and begged Scarlett, "Lily, our house and cars have all been mortgaged. Please give me a way out. Stop taking out loans in my name. I'm a man of some standing after all. What will people think of me if you keep doing this?" Unexpectedly, the bitch just sneered. "You deserve it. Who told you to be so incompetent? It's only been a few years and you can't even support me and Hong anymore. Useless, a useless, soft-legged shrimp like you never deserved to marry me in the first place with that." Her sharp red high heel kicked me hard in the stomach, making my vision go black and my stomach cramp. The pointed heel then viciously ground into my fingers. "All right, don't keep me from my salon appointment. Get lost if you cry poor to me again. I'll post the video online." Chapter 8. Hong was ultimately taken away by the police. How many years he would be sentenced for would depend on the investigation. However, the incident had garnered a great deal of public attention. He would surely have a very hard time in prison. Scarlett wasn't flustered at all. She was still smugly threatening me, as if certain that I would do everything in my power to marry her. I looked at her confident face and couldn't help but sneer. It was my mistake. I had mistaken her for the girl who had helped me back then. That's why I did everything I could to please her, even debasing myself to be her lapdog. Who knew that a series of mistakes would lead me to be wrong about her for so long? That's why she was so confident now. Otherwise, the Shaw family, who pretended to be refined but were actually in decline if she hadn't married me, they probably wouldn't have even had the qualifications to enter the circles of high society. In my past life, the unknowing me would have probably exhausted all means to get Hong out. But in this life, I couldn't wait for this pair of siblings to fall into hell, to feel the pain that Victoria and I had suffered in our past lives. Looking at Scarlett's unfazed, smug expression, I smirked. Still happy, you fool? You're next. Chapter 9. With the wedding in such a mess, it couldn't proceed for the time being. Scarlett threw a tantrum. If you don't solve Hong's problem, don't even think about marrying me today, Victoria. Afraid I was in a difficult position, cautiously said, should I go and try to persuade that girl? Then Victoria whispered to Scarlett in my defense, Lily, what Hong did has already been exposed. In this situation, not even a miracle could get him out. Her clear eyes looked at me with worry, a hidden admiration in her gaze. Just like back then, I was a bit dazed, mocking my own stupidity. It took a lifetime for me to finally understand. Everything now made sense. Only now could I see the love in her eyes. If she didn't love me, why would she have secretly funded me back then, helping me get back on my feet? Facing two beasts who had once bullied and oppressed her, she had found the courage to speak up for me. Unfortunately, she paid such a tragic price in the end. Remembering the look of despair and sorrow on her face in my past life, I couldn't help but clench my fists. Soon, Vicky, soon. Once I've dealt with Scarlett, this life I will definitely make it up to you. Chapter 10. I advise you to think of a way to get Hong out right now. Otherwise, we might as well not get married today. Even in this situation, she was relentless and smug, whispering provocatively in my ear. I glanced at the time. It was time to put an end to the tragedy of my past life. 1 second, Scarlett was smugly waiting to see me rack my brains and worry for her. The next, her eyes bulged, and her face turned into a chaotic palette of colors. On the large screen, a spectacular video was playing. Chapter 5. Hey, look, isn't that the playboy from the Preston family? Oh, I remember him. Not very capable, but he's got away with women. This Scarlett Shaw presents herself as a high society lady, but she's capable of such indecent behavior? That's right, on the big screen was her and Ethan Preston's passionate encounter. Obscene words filled the entire hall, making listeners blush and viewers cringe. Scarlett's face was now as white as a ghost. Impossible, who did this? She scrambled to the control booth and smashed the laptop to pieces. Little did she know that this action only confirmed her guilt. It was my time to take the stage. I smirked, then dramatically stumbled to the ground, feigning grief and confusion. My face was a mask of pain. No, this can't be the woman I've loved for 5 years was cheating on me all along. Then why did you trick me into marrying you? Were you just using me as a scapegoat? Chapter 11. Scarlett was in a panic and about to make an excuse. Unfortunately for her, she had only smashed the laptop used for the audio playback. But I never said I was using that laptop for the video. The video on screen continued to play. I secretly smirked, hiding a cold smile. At the end of the explicit video, Scarlett looked at the camera with a feigned, deep affection. I'm leaving this video to tell you, Ethan Preston. Even though I'm getting married, you're still the one in my heart, and the baby in my belly is yours. I'm only doing this to give our child a better environment. When you inherit the Preston Corporation, I'm still willing to be your Mrs. Preston. She then wiped away a tear, putting on a deeply emotional act. In an instant, everyone's values were overturned. Since when did a tramp who got pregnant before marriage create so much drama for herself, claiming it was for the child's good environment? And what was this about the one I've always loved as you, not my current groom? Getting pregnant before marriage and being shamelessly promiscuous was being spun by her into something so pure and noble? The guests present were disgusted, their faces turning livid with contempt. It was an eye-opener. Many people said indignantly, "Damn this bitch, isn't she just taking advantage of him?" By now, Scarlett's face was pale with panic, and she had collapsed to the floor. I'm not going to be the fall guy for this. No man can tolerate this. I want to cancel the engagement ceremony. Finally, the moment had arrived. I immediately said it with fury. The words hit Scarlett like a punch to the face, her expression turning ugly. I opened my phone. Many netizens had also noticed the twist. I knew something was off with those 9 house rules. A bunch of idiots were defending this woman back then, attacking everyone like mad dogs. Where are they now? Why aren't they talking? Look at the true colors of the goddess you all admired. This is too disgusting. She's pregnant with her ex-boyfriend's child but trying to trap her current fiancé. I feel for the poor groom for a second. I support canceling the engagement. Sincere. Listen to me, that's not me. It's all photoshopped. I'm not pregnant, believe me. I'm innocent. As if grabbing onto a lifeline, she immediately threw herself at my legs, crying and pleading. Pathetic. Did she still think I was the man from my past life? Every single step today was meticulously designed by me to crush you. I watched her desperate expression with a cold smile. Then, as if on cue, a woman in a nurse's uniform approached. "Miss Shaw, you forgot something at the hospital." In her hand was a pregnancy test report confirming she was pregnant. In black and white, clear as day. That report was the last straw that broke the camel's back. Chapter 6, Chapter 12. That engagement ceremony ended on a sour note. It became a top trending topic that day, creating a huge impact. Afterward, worried that Scarlett would retaliate against Victoria Gardner, I constantly fretted about her safety and kept in touch. Through our frequent interactions, we grew much closer. Not long after, we were engaged. As for Hong Shaw, with no one to bail him out this time, he was thoroughly beaten up in prison. He had committed too many crimes, and this time I wasn't spending money to pull strings and get him out of trouble. The once arrogant and unruly man was disciplined into a whimpering grandson in prison, and it was uncertain when he would ever get out. It was said that the pregnant girl and other young women he had assaulted had joined forces to sue him. Public opinion was powerful, and this time, he wouldn't be getting out for at least a few decades. It was truly a case of karma and just deserts. Scarlett tried to pull all the strings she could, but she couldn't get him out. Later, she even tried to find another scapegoat, another big sucker, through blind dates. Fortunately, everyone was online these days. They all knew about her notoriety. She had gone from a campus belle to a now infamous tramp, one who also came with the labels of brother-obsessed maniac and pregnant before marriage, all thanks to her own talent for self-destruction. During this time, she also threatened and intimidated me. "It's all because of you that Hong is in jail. If you don't help me get him out, I'll protest outside your company every single day." Unfortunately, after that live-streamed engagement, the public's eyes were wide open. She still thought her old tricks would work on everyone. Unexpectedly, when she was protesting outside my company, plenty of people spat at her. There were even more who couldn't stand the sight of her. "Sincere Clark, you will regret this. I'm a potential stock who can bear sons, and the baby in my belly is a direct grandson of the Preston family. I'm going to be the young mistress of the prestigious Preston family. I'll make you pay then." In the end, she was dragged away by the police for disorderly conduct, still shouting her delusions. I really don't know where she gets her confidence. Even if the Preston family only has one son, Ethan, it doesn't mean they only have one grandson. Chapter 7, Chapter 13. But having her harass me every day was becoming a problem. It was even damaging our company's public image. I looked at the declining sales figures and sneered. She forced my hand. That night I hired a media team to get the story of her getting pregnant before marriage and scheming against her fiancé to the top of the trending list. This story was widely circulated. The Shaw siblings had been truly malevolent over the years. Many victims had suffered at their hands. Back then, although the Shaw family wasn't a prestigious dynasty, they still had some influence in their circle. Girls from ordinary families could only suffer in silence. But now, with their downfall, everyone was kicking them while they were down, which was largely due to the many evil deeds the siblings had committed. For a time, she was subjected to intense cyberbullying. She could barely manage her own affairs, let alone have the energy to bother me. Like a street rat, she was cursed and chased wherever she went. I, on the other hand, took this opportunity to grow my business. In my past life, to fill the huge financial hole created by the Shaw siblings, I had studied the stock market and lottery winnings extensively. Now, all that knowledge became an opportunity for my company to thrive in this life. You crave wealth and status, don't you? You want to be a wealthy young mistress more than anything, right? I will make everything you desire turn to dust in an instant. Death isn't scary. It would be too boring if I just had someone get rid of her. I want her to be in a state where she can neither live nor die. I want her to watch as everything she desires most crumbles into ashes. As my company's investments in lotteries and stocks grew, and my influence expanded, I didn't forget to help more victims of bullying speak out. It was my way of making up for what happened to Victoria in my past life, a small token of my heart. Chapter 14. A few days later, I learned that Ethan Preston had died in a racing accident not long ago. Everything finally clicked into place, so that's why Scarlett was so fearless. She knew Ethan had been in a fatal crash. Now that the sole heir was dead, and she was his last girlfriend before he died, it meant that the baby in her belly was the only bloodline left. I watched as she used an account with the handle Daily Life of Mrs. Preston to post updates every day. blissfully dreaming of becoming a wealthy young mistress. A wicked idea formed in my mind. So you want to be a wealthy young mistress? I'll give you a hand. Whether it's a helping hand or a push in the wrong direction, who knows? In the third week after Ethan Preston's death, the Preston family began searching for the so-called direct grandson. When she triumphantly arrived at the Prestons' residence with the baby, she was stunned to find a hallway full of sole Preston grandsons. Her face immediately turned livid. I sneered, because all those ex-girlfriends and sole Preston grandsons were brought there by me. After some investigation, I had learned that Ethan Preston had been a womanizer, and Scarlett was far from his only girlfriend. He had made vows of eternal love, but she was the only one who believed them. During their relationship, the wealthy playboy was cheating with a dozen other women, and she was just one of them. Yet she thought she was the one, so clever and self-assured. But what came next was completely unexpected. Chapter 15. Seeing the hallway full of children that day, Scarlett was on the verge of a breakdown. Just when I thought her life as a wealthy socialite was over, a twist came. It turned out that none of the other children were his biological offspring. Ethan Preston had always had a low sperm count. Only Scarlett had managed to conceive his biological child. This news was a bombshell. She immediately became smug, planning her comeback. She even ordered the Preston family to get her brother out of prison. She was acting incredibly arrogant, drunk on borrowed power. However, as a prestigious and powerful family that had seen every trick in the book, the Prestons were no fools. Soon after, the matriarch of the Preston family, Mrs. Preston, arrived. Chapter 8. Miss Shaw, I'll be direct. You will never become the daughter-in-law of my Preston family, Mrs. Preston said with a half-smile. Let's not even mention that Ethan is dead. Even if he weren't, it would still be impossible for you. What kind of family is your Shaw family? And what are you? You dare to dream of climbing into our family. I'll give you $3 million for this child. Scarlett's anger flared and she yelled, You're talking nonsense. My child is the only grandson of the Preston family. I have the right to be the only young mistress of the Preston family. Heh, I've seen 1,000 women like you, if not 800. Mrs. Preston remained composed. But you should also know that without our Preston family, this child is nothing. You have two choices, sell the child or get out. Scarlett wanted to argue further, but Mr. and Mrs. Shaw immediately pulled her back, persuading her, Lily, just agree, don't you know? We've been trying to build up hype for our grandchild recently. Do you know how much money our Shaw family has spent? Food, clothing, travel, housing, everything has to be the best. It's killing your parents, finally. Under the pleas of her parents, she reluctantly agreed, her face ashen. With that, her dream of being a wealthy socialite was completely shattered. Chapter 16. After carrying the child for 10 months, the baby she had worked so hard to deliver did not help her achieve her dream of a lavish life. When I saw Scarlett again, her face was gaunt and skeletal, looking terrible. She no longer had her former delicate beauty, but she was unwilling to become an ordinary person. To maintain her high-spending lifestyle, she had to frequent clubs with different men. When she saw me and Vicky holding hands, happily shopping in a luxury car, she rushed at us like a madwoman. Victoria Gardner. You bitch Sincere Clark, you clearly said you loved me. A woman's heart-wrenching screams on the street immediately attracted a crowd of onlookers who took out their phones and started recording. Seeing that she had stopped our car in the middle of the street, we pulled over. I frowned, getting out of the car to try and get rid of her. The moment she saw me get out, a glint flashed in her eyes. She immediately crawled to my feet, wailing loudly, looking incredibly wronged. It's all because of you, otherwise I would have been a wealthy lady long ago. How dare you marry this bitch? Everyone, come and see this cheating couple was having an affair before my wedding, and they schemed against me because of it. To cancel the wedding, they even ruined my reputation and got my brother sent to jail. How can they be so malicious? I don't know if the internet is just full of trolls, but some people actually started finding fault with the original engagement live stream. Look, this groom is no simple character. Look how intimate these two were before the wedding. Oh my God, could it be that the groom we all felt sorry for was the real mastermind behind everything? So the fiancé was framed out of nowhere, just to make way for this cheating couple's love? Chapter 17. Most people were just there for the drama, but there were even more internet vigilantes ready to fight for justice. Ever since that street confrontation, Victoria and I were being cursed out by netizens. Many people, as if suffering from some kind of happiness survivor syndrome, were especially critical of the extravagant bride price I gave Victoria. Some even went as far as to say that Victoria had been bullied in school and had lost her innocence long ago. For a time, Vicky and I didn't dare to go out. We were afraid that some radical fans might attack us on a whim, and Scarlett, because of this incident, actually gained some fame. It seemed that everyone had completely forgotten that she had cheated on me to raise her ex-boyfriend's child. Chapter 9. The internet's memory is short. Because of this incident, she became a minor internet celebrity. I gritted my teeth in anger. Indeed, when a person has no shame, they are invincible. But it doesn't matter. If you repeat something enough, people will eventually remember it. Her conspiracy theories about me these past few days were enough to cause a significant drop in my company's sales. Even some shareholders had scheduled meetings with me to discuss the matter. Looking at Scarlett's smug, ugly face, I stroked my chin. But who said she was the only one who could fight back? Her follower count has been skyrocketing these past few days. What I want is for her to reach the peak and then fall hard. Chapter 18. Are you ready? I watched as Vicky took a deep breath, her eyes filled with determination. Yes. The other girls also had resolute expressions. I smirked. Today is the day Scarlett falls into hell. The more famous she is now, the harder she will fall later. I looked at my phone as she started her live stream as usual. I smiled. As several girls came forward during the live stream to reveal the previously unknown stories of being bullied by the Shaw siblings, the attention completely overwhelmed the content and themes Scarlett had painstakingly designed for her broadcast. Stories of how Scarlett used cigarette butts to burn the girls' thighs and backs. There were pictures and proof. These brave girls even showed the evidence directly on the live stream, all to make their former bully pay the price. I knew Scarlett couldn't be a good person. Her brother being jailed for rape and bullying is a hard fact. Her attempt to clean up her image was very suspicious. The comments section was flooded with bots back then. I said one thing and got piled on for 10 floors. I checked. The bridesmaid, Victoria Gardner, was a long-term victim of Scarlett's bullying and oppression and was forced to attend the wedding. The so-called groom colluding with the bridesmaid from the start is complete nonsense. Within a day, Scarlett went from being a hugely popular internet celebrity to a street rat that everyone wanted to beat. The truth from the past was laid bare for all to see. Even the tricks she used to try and become the young mistress of the Preston family were thoroughly investigated and exposed. This time, she was truly famous. Chapter 19. Unfortunately, it wasn't fame, but infamy. Some kind soul even compiled these incidents into a slideshow to make it easier for everyone to see the truth. With no more reservations, the public completely exposed her. They were shocked to realize that the bride they once thought was a victim of a scheme was actually harboring such malicious intentions to deceive everyone's sympathy. Instantly, there were calls for her to be punished. The same internet vigilantes who had wanted to go after me and Vicky immediately turned their aggression on Scarlett. Now she didn't even dare to leave her house, terrified of being attacked by anti-fans in some dark corner. After this deception, she had thoroughly enraged the public. The cyberbullying against her online was relentless, but it wasn't over yet. I looked at a text message. A smile formed on my lips. Scarlett, my revenge against you has only just begun. Chapter 10. Chapter 20. That night, when Scarlett returned home, a familiar figure had been sitting on the sofa for some time. She vaguely recognized the figure, and upon closer inspection, she became incredibly excited. Hong? Her face lit up with surprise and disbelief. How did you get out? But unexpectedly, the brother who had once been so obedient to her looked at her with a cold expression. I'm out. Are you surprised? Scarlett still didn't sense anything was wrong and continued on her own. Of course, I'm surprised you have no idea. That sincere Clark was completely unwilling to get you out after chattering on for a long time. She finally realized something was amiss. How on earth did you get out? Watching this scene through the surveillance feed on my phone, I laughed out loud. Of course, it was I who secretly guided Hong to escape from prison, but it was to deal with Scarlett. In your past life, you siblings were so close. How could I not help you have a reunion? I wasn't released. I escaped. After a long pause, Hong finally spoke, his expression turning ferocious. Why didn't you find a way to get me out? Do you have any idea how much I suffered in there? How was I supposed to get you out? I can barely save myself. Can you stop being so unreasonable? In the end, it's all your fault, you idiot. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have ended up in this situation, Scarlett complained and cursed, completely oblivious to Hong's precarious mental state and his bloodshot eyes. I smirked. A big show was about to begin. You're a wealthy lady, it would have been so easy for you, but you let me suffer so much in there when I was at my lowest point in prison. I requested to see you so many times. But, what about you? You refused every single time. That was because Scarlett was being cyberbullied at the time. The detention center was being staked out by many of her anti-fans. If she had shown up, she would never have made it back in one piece. Scarlett's face turned pale. She finally realized the information gap between them. Hong, it's not. Before she could finish, Hong grabbed her by the neck and slammed her onto the table. She could only watch in terror as Hong's bloodshot eyes glared at her, and he roared with rage. Go to hell, Chapter 21. The scene of a family member brutally murdering another horrified the neighbors who discovered it the next day. Unexpectedly, after torturing and killing Scarlett, Hong simply sat down on the sofa in a daze. The moment he killed Scarlett, I called the police. He was arrested and brought to justice that very night. After all, his purpose was served. I couldn't let that animal continue to roam free. In the end, both Shaw's siblings were selfish, cold-blooded creatures, though Scarlett was genuinely good to her brother. Who would have thought that? One misstep would lead to her raising an ungrateful wolf. Hong's madness was, in fact, fueled by my machinations. I discreetly let him know about Scarlett's happy and successful life as an internet celebrity while he was in prison, making him believe that she could have gotten him out but chose not to. After he had endured so much suffering and frustration, daily indoctrination and repeated provocations finally produced this result. Even as she died, Scarlett's eyes were wide with disbelief, unable to close. She probably never imagined that the brother she had cared for and protected for so many years would ultimately turn on her. Chapter 11. Epilogue. In my dream, I returned to my past life, but this time I was like a ghost, floating and following Scarlett. I watched her marry Ethan Preston with a large dowry and immense wealth, but she did not become the glamorous, wealthy lady she had envisioned. Instead, she became Ethan Preston's secret lover. Even after learning that Scarlett was carrying his child, he had no intention of marrying her. Scarlett even caused scenes at the Preston family home several times, but he never changed his mind. In the end, that woman never got what she wanted, neither in the past life nor in this one. In this way, it could be said that karma has its own way of balancing things. Before anything happened to Scarlett, Hong got into trouble first. In my past life, because of my repeated cover-ups and interventions, I had finally raised him to be a lawless character. He caused a catastrophic disaster, but Ethan Preston was no pushover. He immediately reported Hong anonymously, sending that menace to prison overnight. Scarlett was completely unaware, still begging Ethan to find someone to get Hong out. Looking at Scarlett's resentful face, Ethan felt that this woman was a huge problem, so he secretly leaked the news of her bullying and scheming against her ex-husband. As expected, Scarlett suffered the same intense cyberbullying as she did in this life. She sought protection, but Ethan, citing her deception, refused to provide her with any help. Her dream of being a wealthy lady was completely shattered. She was cyberbullied to the point of depression. Finally, she jumped from a building to her death. It's truly a case of a villain getting their just deserts from another villain. I floated in the air, watching as Scarlett, after jumping, was still twitching, clinging to her last breath. I don't know if it was because she was on the verge of death, but she actually saw my existence. At that moment, she screamed in terror and despair, "Sincere Clark, you've come to kill me?" I gradually moved closer to her. Finally, in immense pain and torment, she died full of fear. As she fell silent, her eyes wide open in death, my vision went black. The faint morning light shone on my face through the curtains. I opened my eyes to the gentle call of my wife. Seeing Vicky's worried expression, I realized I was covered in a cold sweat. The nightmare was over. A ding came from my phone, a text message. Seeing the message, I froze. After so many years, Hong had suffered greatly in prison, and the remorse of killing his sister had tormented him every moment. And today he was found dead in his cell, having died in extreme agony. He had secretly drunk a bottle of Paraquat to end his life. I looked out the window. The sun was shining brightly. The sunflowers by the window were in full, brilliant bloom, just like my life after being reborn, moving forward, full of hope.